How you doing? Hey ladies, I love you guys. Today I'm going to be talking a little bit about the process of getting here, some budgets and timeline. But in that time, while I talk, you guys are going to get a little tour of the neighborhood. I'm going to be heading from my apartment to a place called The Grove. It's kind of a big outdoor mall area. You guys can watch on the way there. Bought my ticket early, but not as early as I would have liked. I bought it on November 2nd for a flight on December 1st, so that's about a month. If I had purchased it a little earlier, it's possible I could have gotten a better flight, but you can go into Google and look at Google Flights, and it'll give you a little map of the best times to fly. I flew with Frontier and had a 12-hour layover in Denver, and overall it cost me $235. I looked through motels and found that the prices hovered between $50 and $90 a night, so I got the Airbnb app at about the same time I booked my flight. It's hard to find something reliable, and I read articles on how not to get scammed on Airbnb. I ended up booking an Airbnb for 10 days, December 2nd through the 11th. It cost me $454, which is about $45 a night. It may have been that I was able to find something better if I had booked sooner, but it was pretty average for what I considered safe and reasonably comfortable in the Airbnb genre. And it was also better than something sketchy like a motel for a week and a half. I can go into more depth on Airbnb another time if anybody is interested. I booked my rental car the day before I booked my Airbnb because I'd had trouble finding a place, and the logic was that I could sleep in my car for a day or two if need be. This is where I made my most expensive mistake of the month. I booked my car for 9 days from the 3rd through the 11th. I used it to meet Colin, but more on that later. I picked it up when I arrived on the 2nd, meaning I'd accidentally booked it a day later than I needed it. I also returned it on the 11th, but because they had slid the whole timeline up a day, I was charged because it was a day late. Lastly, it was a much nicer car than I needed. I didn't want to book a place like Budget or Dollar because I had seen their customer reviews online and I was worried about having to deal with a janky car that might break down on me. But internet reviews are a crapshoot. I ended up paying $235 up front and $215 when I returned it, for a total of $450 for a car that was nicer than I needed. I didn't use it very much, and I ended up getting penalty charges. I should have just used Uber from the start, and I probably could have saved myself no less than $200. After I had to check out of the Airbnb, I stayed with Colin at my current apartment for the weekend. We talked about his suspicions that his roommate might stay in Oregon to continue his studies. I moved to Cassidy's family's apartment on the 12th and spent a blissful month with her until she returned to Dubuque on January 7th. I tried to pay them 4 different times, but Cassidy's mama was not having it. The day after I left Colin's, his roommate confirmed that he wouldn't be returning to the apartment, and before Colin had left LA for Christmas, we had settled our business together. He returned the day before Cassidy's flight, so the morning she left, I gathered my luggage, left a note on the fridge, and took an Uber to my apartment. I share a room here as one of 3 inhabitants of a 2-bedroom, 2-bath apartment, which I love. Rent and utilities hover around $650 a month, which is fantastic by every account that I get from LA residents. It's also fantastic compared to my projections of $800 to $1,000 a month. Admittedly, that was for a studio apartment in which I would be the sole inhabitant, but I've decided that in a decision between personal comfort versus surrounding myself with people who can offer advice or help or collaboration, I should choose the latter. Colin, who has been here for 2 years pursuing acting, has been all of those things, and he has been incredibly accommodating as a roommate. I'm in a great situation. I hope this has been interesting, or at least that you've been able to track down the mute button so you could just watch the place. Even if not, please enjoy that creepy angel, this great little view of the courtyard at the farmer's market, and J.K. Simmons.